Hello, 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 and welcome to yet another victory edition of the Believe in Lions podcast. That's BLEAV right here on the Believe Network. I'm your host, as always, at Cavanagh87, Jack Cavanagh, joined as always by the All-Pro Safety, the all-world commentator, the NFL interception leader. It's Glover Quin.
Oh, yeah. What's up, man?
Just loving life. I mean, what a win. A game that you need to win. You should win. You're favored, but to go out there and exercise those demons against the Minnesota Vikings, the division rivals, and continue our hunt for the playoffs, what a day.
I mean, it's a great day, great game. I think, today showed that the Lions are primed and poised for a playoff run. They needed to get this win to start this last stretch of 5 games. Huge win. I think it's going to propel them right in, and I think we'll be seeing the Lions in the playoffs.
It's certainly looking that way, especially with the rest of what happened today. The Giants lost to the Eagles as expected. They're now 7-5-1, which means to get to 10 wins, they've got to go 3-4 against the Commanders, the Vikings, the Colts, and the Eagles. Football is back, and Bet Online remains your number one source for all your football betting needs this season. You'll find the latest odds, matchup info, player news, and game trends. And as your continued source for all sports wagering info, Bet Online features live betting, free contests, live scores, and giveaways all season long. Always the fastest and easiest way to bet all your favorite sports and events like MLB, MMA, tennis, hockey, boxing, and even golf. Head to betonline.ag to join and receive your 100% welcome bonus with your first deposit. Make sure to use promo code BELIEVE to receive your rewards. That's BLEAV. Bet Online, where the game starts.
Yeah, I don't think they win 3 out of those 4 games. I think they lose to the the only way they beat the Eagles is if the Eagles are sitting guys because of the playoffs. Um, but I think, and they may not do it for the Eagles, but I think if you got that number 1 seed and you got that bye, I don't think you need to sit your guys because they already got a week of rest. I mean, if they've played 17 weeks and haven't gotten injured, you can't sit here and say, okay, we want to protect them from injury. You got a whole week off. Let those guys play and stay sharp. You don't want to go into the playoffs off of 2 weeks without game action. So that may be tough for the Giants to get a win in week 18. I think the Commanders will beat them next week. I mean, they could beat the Vikings. We see the Vikings are very beatable, but the Vikings play very well against almost everybody else other than the Lions, right? So I could see the Giants easily going 1-3, in these last 4 games as opposed to 3-1 like they need to do. So I think the Giants they are trending downward for me. So I don't think they'll be playoff worthy.
And this is obviously, I'm biased here because I'm rooting against the Giants, but the Colts are going to give them problems too. They've got a strong defense, a run heavy attack, which worked pretty well for the Eagles today, ran all over the Giants. So none of these are gimmies. And if the Commanders do beat the Giants this coming weekend, they will be 8-5-1. And to get to 10 wins, they'll have to win 2 out of 3 against the 49ers, the Browns, and the Cowboys.
That's going to be tough as well because, with the Eagles, basically taking that division, the Cowboys are going to have to continue winning to get that wild card spot. So I don't see them sitting anybody. They're going to be playing. So it's going to be tough for the Commanders to beat the Cowboys. And then you look at who else you said in there? The
49ers.
49ers. That's going to be tough. We're going to see how Brock Purdy do today in his start. But the 49ers defense is still tough. So that's going to be a tough win for the Commanders to get as well. So I think it's going to be very difficult for either one of those teams to get to 9 or 10 wins. I just don't see unless they just start playing incredibly, good. I don't see them, going on that type of run and beating these teams who are vying for playoff spots. And I think that's the biggest thing. You look at the Lions schedule, the Panthers aren't vying for a playoff spot.
Nope.
Although the South isn't very strong, I don't think the Panthers are vying for a playoff spot. I don't think the Bears are, like, and then come week 17, week 18, I think the Packers are out of it by then.
Yeah.
I think they're out of it. I mean, who do they play tomorrow?
They're on bye right now.
They're on bye? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the Packers are out of it come week 18. And so the Lions are playing for playoff spots, and then the teams that the other guys are playing, the 49ers, the Eagles, the Cowboys, like, that's going to be tough games for the Giants and the Commanders. So I think you probably end up seeing, one of those teams make a wild card. But it also depends because you got Seattle in there as well. Seattle go on the run. You could end up with Dallas, Seattle, and the Lions in the playoffs, and the Giants or the Commanders don't make it. So it's going to be interesting going down the stretch.
I like that you brought up the Seahawks too, because to get to 10 wins for them, and they would have the tiebreaker over the Lions, they have to beat the Panthers, which seems like they'll do. 49ers is in there, Kansas City, Jets, and Rams. They've got to win 3 out of 5. 49ers, KC, and Jets are all going to be
Tough.
teams vying for playoff seeding.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. Like I said, I think the Lions got, just on paper, I think the Lions got the easiest route
And
as far as the strength of schedule with the teams. Now, like I said, you still got to go play the games. Still got to play the games, and you got to have some of these games on the road. So anywhere you go, there are no more inside games. Carolina, Chicago, Jets. Like, I don't know where they got to go, but they're gonna have to go somewhere, and all those games are gonna be in the cold. So that plays a factor into it. So you still gotta go play the games. But just looking at it on paper, the Lions have the easier road to the playoffs.
And they certainly received a boost today. A little shot of JMO did good for the Detroit Lions offense. Jameson Williams, his second target was a drop. He was just too distracted by the cornerback coming down. But his first target, his first NFL reception, 41-yard touchdown where he completely burnt the safety and was so fast that he actually had to slow down for Goff's ball, because I don't think Goff was ready for that pure blazing speed.
Yeah, and the thing that, outside of that, yeah, you talked about the drop, but I think the biggest thing for me was you come out and you have that play early in the game, and you go up top. I didn't see another shot to him the rest of the game.
Nope. His only other target was that little
That
swing
little,
pass.
yeah, like, you won the game, you played a great game, but I'm just saying, like, okay, you have that kind of success early in the game. You got to take another shot in the next 3 quarters, at some point. But I guess DJ Chark was the shot that they took, and he went up top. So, I like what I saw. I think Jameson's gonna add a huge speed burst to that offense. They're going to be that much more explosive, and that's just going to open up more things for Amon underneath, who's already killing it underneath. Josh Reynolds is coming alive, making plays. You still got DeAndre Swift out of the backfield. You got weapons. You got weapons, and they can score points. Jared Goff is playing pause right now. He's playing really good football right now. So they got weapons. They can score points. Jameson Williams is only going to add to that.
And one touchdown goes to Jameson, one goes to Chark, as you mentioned, another goes to Josh Reynolds. All had great games. Amon-Ra St. Brown, he wasn't flashy, only 6 grabs, only 68 yards. But again, that's averaging over a first down per reception and multiple third down chain moving receptions. So if his down day on the lighter side of the production is still 68 yards and 3, 4 first downs, 5, I'll take that every time.
Yeah, I mean that's how it's gonna be. And you see, we mentioned three other wide receivers' names, right? We mentioned DJ Chark going up top. We mentioned Josh Reynolds catching a touchdown. We mentioned Jameson Williams. So like it you're not gonna have the top game every week. You know what I'm saying? So now you look at that, it's like, okay, going into next week, you know, they're trying to figure out who do we stop? Do we have we got to worry about Jameson? We got to worry about DJ. We got to worry about Amon. We got to worry about like it just opens up things for everybody. And so you're gonna have those games, but like you say, to be able to convert, first downs, 4 or 5 of those things in a game, that's huge. That's keeping the clock running, which they did a great job in the fourth quarter doing that. And then it's moving the change throughout the game. And like I said, the one thing that I've noticed that you haven't seen a lot from the Lions these last few games that they've been winning is they haven't turned the ball over. They haven't turned the ball over. And when you don't turn the ball over and you can force a few turnovers, it gives you a chance to win.
It does. It really does. And one final note on the offense. Jamal Williams was interviewed at some point, just before half, maybe just after half, but he was asked about Justin Jackson scoring a touchdown, the running back. He was the only running back to score a TD. It wasn't Jamal, wasn't DeAndre, it was RB3 Justin Jackson. And Jamal's response is, there aren't any egos here. I'm celebrating just as hard for a DeAndre touchdown as I am for a Chark touchdown, as I am for a Justin Jackson's touchdown. There's no egos here, kind of like up in the booth. And I think that was just to get the commentary to leave him alone at that point. He's got some
Yeah.
great quotes, though.
Oh yeah. I mean, like you said, there isn't any egos. Those guys are playing well. They're sharing the wealth, and they seem like they understand that. When like one of us eat, we all eat. You know what I'm saying? Like today may not have been Jamal's day for getting in the end zone, but these other guys are doing like it just you just never know from week to week, and you just got to go out there and play. But it just makes it so difficult for the other team to defend because you got so many weapons, you got so many things that you have to worry about, and I think it puts the Lions in a great, great, great situation moving forward to make that playoff run.
It really does. And we've talked about this throughout the season with the play calling building on itself and mixing and matching schemes so things are looking similar. And a couple plays that really stood out to me. Number one was the fake crack toss to DeAndre Swift. They faked the pitch, something they've run for weeks on the goal line. Every time they get close to the goal line, DeAndre Swift's on the field. You know they're running a pitch. They fake that, and that leads to the Josh Reynolds touchdown. And the number 2 play on offense that I really want to highlight, you know what it is. It's the big boy reception. Penei Sewell lined up in bunch formation, motions across the field, wide open reception. The man moves like a cat at 340 pounds. He dives for the first down, and defender tries to get up in his face, swat the ball after, and Sewell's having none of that.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. It's a great play call, but that shows the type of athletic ability and that Panay has for the coach to feel confident enough to make that call in that situation, and for you to deliver soft hands. I mean, him running to the flats to the right and have to turn back to catch the ball, all hands, then turn back around and get the first down. That was pretty impressive for a big guy. And, that just opens things up because now you got to respect him. Now you got to respect him because he can catch the ball. He's shown that he can catch the ball out of the backfield. So that was a great play call, man. You got to give it up to those guys. They dialed it up and they executed, and everything is great when you do that. When you execute and you get stuff done, it's great.
There's going to be something in the near future. We're going to see that formation again. We're going to see Penei in motion again. And there's going to be some little twist on it. I don't know if they're going to run to the backside or if it's going to be a drag by a receiver from the other side. There's going to be something that builds on what we've seen. And that's what over the last couple of weeks, the offense has just really meshed. No turnovers. And for the defense, they've been getting turnovers in bunches lately. I couldn't believe this when I heard it, but the Lions now have 12 straight games with a turnover on defense.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. I
It
saw
didn't
that.
feel like that.
Right, because I remember for a long time we're sitting there talking about the soccer trots and this and that, and I'm like, for them to be 6-7, that means that they've only played 13 games,
Yeah.
and to have a turnover in 12 straight, I'm like, I know it was 4 or 5 weeks. So I'm like, dude, we don't even see the soccer trot. We like went like, but maybe they were getting worn, and it just didn't seem like it. Um,
I'm starting to think that maybe it would be end of game. There are a couple times, like against the Cowboys, the Patriots, where the game's out of hand. Out, there's a turnover here.
right. It had to be something like that because I don't remember
No,
12 straight games of turnover, but
I
um,
but I know that we've. If you told me 6 straight, I'd believe that.
yeah, I would say ever since the was it the Green Bay game at home?
Yeah,
Ever since the Green Bay game at home, they've the first game after Coach Pleasant got fired, whatever
yeah.
game that was, they've been playing. I think Jeff. He rips the ball out of Lazard's hand. They try to get the recovery on the sideline, like that game right there. That's when they started on the turnovers, and Kirby Joseph had the interceptions. Yeah.
The ball just finds Kirby Joseph's hands, doesn't it? And it, it's you go ahead, you explain it.
Well, I mean, the thing is, you make plays when you are around the ball.
Yeah,
So when the ball goes in the air, if you're around it, you get an opportunity to make plays. When the ball is on the ground, if you're around it, you get an opportunity to make plays. So that's why it's so very important to hustle and run to the ball because you never know when the ball is going to get on the ground and you get a chance to pick it up. You never know when the ball is going to get tipped in the air and you get a chance to catch an easy interception. You just never know. So you have to be hustling and be around the ball. And he has a nose for being around the football. And when you're around the football, sometimes good things happen for you.
you know a little something about that, making
Just a little bit.
some turnovers once or twice. Whether it's interceptions, forced fumbles, fumble recoveries, Glover Quin could do it all. So can Kirby Joseph, it seems. And that play was super interesting because I didn't realize it in the moment. But I went back and watched it. They were actually setting up for a little pop pass there from Dalvin Cook, but the center, who was the backup, he just gets completely blown up by Isaiah Buggs. And that's why Cook's kind of holding it awkward and it's so easy to punch out. But I'm not complaining.
Yeah, I mean, it was crazy. I saw it as it was happening because it didn't look like Dalvin was like really trying to run,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't see anybody break free. But if you go back and look at the replay, if he'd have had another couple seconds, it would have been a touchdown. But to get the pressure, he's trying to execute the play so you don't have the ball in a secure position. Far as being able to run the ball, you get those big D linemen break through their linebackers. Somebody swipe down and hit that ball. It's coming out every time, and I mean that's a helpless feeling for him laying on that ground, and you can literally see the ball rolling back, and it's a fumble, and all you see are the Lions players. Luckily, Kirk Cousins was able to get Kirby on the ground, but great play by the defense. Awful play calling by the Vikings.
A lot of I love the shot at the Vikings too, but a lot of great plays by this defense. We saw for the third game in a row, James Houston sack. He now has 4 sacks on the season, 4 sacks, 3 games. Aidan gets one later on in the game. We
I
also
thought he
see
had 2.
ended up giving that one to James Houston.
Oh, okay.
It was they and it could change still. You know how those stat corrections come in, right? So he's got one for sure, possibly 1.5 too. So, but
And I mean, that puts him at what, 7? I
that
was
puts him
sitting
at
there
7 for sure.
during the game. I was like, all right, that's 2 for Aiden. That puts him up at 8 with 4 games left to play. He could he'll be a double digit sacker, 2 interceptions. Like he'll end up having a pretty good stat line towards the end of the year. And
He
these are going to be the games and the plays that they remember. Nobody's going to really remember or care so much as to how the season started. They may talk about, it started out slow, But this streak that the Lions have been on, if you think back, Aidan Hutchinson has made some big defensive plays, interceptions in there, forcing interceptions to Jeff Okudah, like sacks. He recovered a fumble against I don't know who that was. He recovered a fumble against
Packers,
might have been the Packers or somebody, one of those teams.
Bears.
Bears, might have been the Bears, yeah. Recovering so he's made some big plays down the stretch, and this is what people remember because these are the games that matter. These are the games that matter. You play well in the games that matter down the stretch. That's what people remember. Nobody really remembers from that standpoint what happened in week 1. Like, yeah, he didn't have a sack. Okay, but he still ended up with 13 of them. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I think he's on a good path. I think he's gonna end up with a pretty good stat line.
I sure think so. I sure hope so. The entire D line just bringing it today. Kirk Cousins under a lot of pressure. No run game to speak of for the Vikings. 22 yards rushing on 17 carries. Just couldn't get anything going. Love to see that. And at times it helped the secondary, but at times it did not, because we do have to talk about Justin Jefferson.
I mean, I think, you go back to what I said earlier in the week. Those things like that are okay. When you're playing against an explosive offense, no, you don't want to give up 400 yards. No, you don't want to give up all this and this and that. But when you look at the whole totality of the game, they kept Justin Jefferson out of the end zone. They
There
shut
it
down Dalvin Cook, right? TJ Hawkinson, they tried to get him going early. He caught a few passes, but nothing was really major. You know what I'm saying? Short yard gains, 13 yards here. Like nothing really, whatever. Adam Thielen catches the one touchdown, but that's really all he did. And that's just,
and
that's
then gets
just playing
completely
football.
stuffed on the 2-point too.
Yeah. So when you look at the whole totality of it, it's like, okay, Justin Jefferson had a lot of yards. Don't get me wrong, but he didn't score a touchdown, and we pretty much shut down everybody else. I feel like that's like saying we're gonna let LeBron score 60, but we're still gonna win 90 to 86 because nobody else is gonna be able to score. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of how I looked at that. Yes, would you like to see some better communication and better, whatever to help out? But Justin Jefferson is one of the best receivers in the league. And, he was able to get open on some plays today and make a couple plays. But hey, man, you shut everybody else down, you still give yourself a chance to win.
And that's what I thought you would say, but I just, you have to talk about it when any player goes for a career day, career high 223 yards. You have to talk about it, but the no touchdowns, that is the key to the Justin Jefferson stat line. And the second key to that is it's a loss.
Right. Like if I was having to do rank, top performances of the week, at this point, I wouldn't have Justin Jefferson, even though he had 200 something yards. He didn't have any touchdowns and they lost the game. It's hard to, that's just kind of how it is. You have to win the game. You gotta I remember when we used to do like player of the games and this and that, it would suck, when you battle and you battle, and you never get player of the game. You never get player of the game. But then you go out and you have a great game, right? You catch an interception, you do this, you ball, but then you lose the game, and we don't give our stuff for when we lose the game. And then you win the game, but you didn't have that type of a game. So you just like, so it sucks for him. But at the end of the day, you go and catch that 220 something yards, you throw in another touchdown, and y'all win the game. Yeah, we're talking about one of the greatest performances. But right now, we can't talk about the performance that you had because we're talking about how the Lions played better and did enough to get the win.
And Justin Jefferson seems like that kind of receiver where he's not going to be celebrating after this game. He's going to take it personally because last time in the win, the Lions held him to 14 yards and he didn't mind at the time, But you could tell this week in the media that he was getting sick of being asked, oh, 14 yards. You only had 14 yards last time. So he was primed for a big day. He was ready. He was excited, but there ain't no way he's enjoying those 223 yards after a loss.
No, he's upset. He's upset. And, at the end of the day, as a wide receiver, it takes two. I mean, Kirk Cousins was looking for him. And like I said, when you're looking for him, he's going to make some plays, but you may miss times where Thielen is open, Osborne, and I think Osborne caught a touchdown, right? But that's the only catch I remember him having all day.
Yep.
So, like I said, if you let Dalvin Cook go for 80 yards rushing, that's a different ball game. You let Adam Thielen go for 6 catches for 82 yards, that's a different ball game. But to be able to shut everybody else down for the most part, I'm okay with that. No, you don't want to see that many yards put up, but at this point in the season, you're trying to win football games.
And we're certainly winning those football games, winning against our former teammate TJ Hawkinson, who was the second receiver on the team technically, but only 77 yards, which on paper sounds great, but I only really remember that his first reception of the game, he catches a first down, and I texted you right away, oh, they're feeding TJ early. I'm a little bit worried. But then the next catch doesn't go for a first down. It's a 5 or 6 yarder. And then the next target he has, incomplete, turnover, they go for it on 4th and 1 because of the punt, turnover on downs. And after that, the only thing I remember from TJ Hawkinson, I know he had some catches, but I remember the drop first down against his former team.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, nothing was impactful. You can catch some passes, but they're not impactful. So when you lose a game, like I say, when you win the game, it's going to be looked at totally different. But in order to win the game, he probably catches that pass on the sideline. So
Yeah.
now we're not talking about the drop. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about, 8 catches for 90 yards now. You see what I'm saying? And then now that drive continues and you probably get a chance to have more catches or a touchdown or things like that. So when you lose the game and you don't think of any impactful plays, it's just another normal day. I mean, it was just TJ caught some passes.
He almost seemed flustered after that first catch because he got some boos after that first catch that he had. Almost seemed like that kind of got to him a little bit.
It may, you know. I don't know why they would boo him. He didn't ask to be traded,
I
but
didn't like it either, but it seemed to affect him.
hey, now you play for the Vikings, so we still love you, TJ. But during the game, you play for the Vikings, and we're trying to win the game, so
Yeah.
it happens.
And exactly, to be fair, they're booing Justin Jefferson all game too. They're booing and
Right.
jeering Kirk Cousins. It's nothing personal, just wonder if that impacted him at all. And I wonder if the reports this week that Jared Goff, we already talked about how he's playing the best football of his career. That's from him. And then the reports come out that the Lions don't just view him as a bridge quarterback. They very much see him as a future part of this team. And then Jared comes out and plays a hell of a game.
Jared trying to earn some money.
He really
It's
is.
it's holiday season. He trying to earn some of that money. Give me that money. And he's showing over these last few weeks, if I don't turn the ball over, we can run the ball. You give me some weapons, I can spread it around. I could be a solid quarterback. This is what he did in when he was with Los Angeles, right? Run the ball, tie Gurley, hand it off, and then you give him some weapons. You give him guys that he can throw the ball to, and you don't turn the ball over. You let your defense work for you. Let your playmakers make plays. Hey, show me the money.
When it comes down to it, football is pretty simple, all things considered. Play solid fundamentals, don't turn the ball over, and spread the love around. Get your playmakers the ball. Things are going to happen.
Yeah, that's the name of the game. The biggest one is not to turn the ball over. Trust your guys, trust your weapons, and then let them do what they do best. Get them the ball so that they can do what they do best. And if you can do that and not turn the ball over, you're gonna give yourself way more chances to win football games.
You will, and hopefully the Lions give themselves more opportunities to win the game next week against the New York Jets, who hopefully the best for Mike White. Mike White, the quarterback for the Jets, he was headed to the hospital after the game to get his ribs looked at. Coach Robert Saleh says it's just precautionary. They're not super worried about it, but they just want to do right by Mike White and take care of him. So hope everything is okay. But regardless, the Lions will either be facing a quarterback with banged up ribs or Joe Flacco, because Joe Flacco is QB2 ahead of Zach Wilson now.
Joe Flacco, yeah. And that's the thing. Joe Flacco is very, very experienced quarterback.
Did you ever pick off Joe Flacco?
Yeah.
I thought you would have, but I didn't know how much crossover there was.
Oh, I picked him off when I was in Houston.
Okay.
Yeah, I got this picture. It's oh, I ain't got that one up. It's upstairs. But yeah, I had a nice one-hander off of Joe Flacco. The year they won the Super Bowl, actually.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's quite an accomplishment too.
Yeah. But Joe is a experienced quarterback, and the thing about him though, he is very much immobile. So we could see Aidan Hutchinson and James Houston go for a combined, 5 or 6 sacks, and if they're playing in New York, it's probably gonna be cold. Joe ain't played all year. It's gonna be cold out there for Joe, man. These young boys come around that corner on Joe. They better hope that Mike can get healthy. But then it's gonna be tough on him. The ribs are no joke, man. Oh, the
We saw it
ribs are
with
no
Justin
joke.
Herbert. It was over a month before he was even okay.
Man, I remember in 2016, we're playing the Seattle Seahawks in the playoffs, and we played Green Bay in the last game of the season to try to. Man, I had hurt my ribs in one of those games before Green Bay. And then I had a collision with the big fullback that Green Bay had, and I hurt my ribs again. Oh, man. Going into that playoff game against Seattle, oh, I had to get my junk numbed up. Like, man, that trash hurt so bad. Oh, you don't want them ribs, man. You don't want that. Mm-mm.
Every single breath, every step just hurts, right?
Oh, yeah. Painful, though. Like, really painful. So I can only imagine a quarterback, still getting hit. Because as a DB, you can kind of, control certain things. But as a quarterback, you're getting hit, sacked, slammed. Like, it's cold. Oh, yeah. And you got to throw every time, just the jarring of the. Yeah, they might prepare for Joe.
Regardless, banged up quarterback with ribs, Joe Flacco, it's going to be cold. Those hits are going to hurt a little bit more. And the Lions have been swarming the football, just at least 2 players in on every tackle, it seems like. And that's nice to see. What's not so nice to see, final thing I kind of want to ask you about for the defense side is Jeff Okudah. He ends up leaving the game. We know he was sick all week, and he takes those 2 penalties on the scoring drive. This, I think, the second drive of the game, first scoring drive. Then he ends up leaving, gets replaced by Amani Oruwariye. Have to imagine between the concussion missed time, the illness, he's just not at 100%, and the Lions wanted to make a move just for the game.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I would assume. I didn't see anything that would say otherwise. I didn't see any kind of
No.
ankles or knees or head or anything like that. So you just have to assume that he's probably just sick and, you dehydrated and you're feeling weak, or you just, still probably battling some of the illness or whatever. And it just,
Because he didn't start the
hopefully
game.
that's what it is.
He didn't start the game either, and then he subbed in. So I imagine the plan all along was, all right, you're going to mix in and out because you're not fully fresh. And then when
Right.
he just leaves and doesn't come back, have to imagine that's the illness.
Right. I'm just glad Amani didn't have to play the whole game.
Saw him in a couple times, and I got a
That
little bit
would have been
terrified.
brutal. That would have been brutal.
Yeah, Ah, nightmares. All
Yeah.
things considered, though, a win is a win, and this was a pretty damn good win over the division rivals. A playoff game for the Lions. Pretty much every game from here on out is a playoff game because if you win, you control your destiny.
Yep. And that's what the Lions want to do. They want to control their destiny. They want to win the games. And like I said earlier, I think they got the best shot. I think they got the best path to get there. They just got to take it one game at a time and come back this week and go take care of the Jets. And every game you win, like I said last week, every game you win, the next game gets bigger and bigger. Right now, the Jets is the biggest game of the season coming up. The Jets.
And that biggest game of the season. We will be back to cover later this week. But Glover, before that, any pluggables to plug? Any final thoughts on the Detroit Lions win or just football in general?
I mean, I think, I've been hearing it a lot. The Lions are a scary football team right now. They're playing at a high level. Nobody wants to play those guys. They're young. They're athletic. Their offensive is amongst the best in the league. Defense has been playing great. So, shout out to the Lions for sticking through it when it was tough. Shout out to the fans for sticking through it when it was tough. And now it's December and the Lions are playing meaningful football. So gear up. Enjoy this holiday season, but gear up and let's support these guys as they look to make a run into the playoffs.
And we will be there to bring you every step of the action on the Lions' journey to the playoffs. If you want to bet the Lions to make the playoffs, make sure you do it with our sponsors over at betonline.ag. But until we're back to preview the Jets game, which the Lions are going to win, we will see you next time.
Peace.